I've read, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I read you've been kind of researching Nat, Sweetwater, Clifton, and this kind of story for close to kind of like 30 years. Is that the case? And if so, does it feel a bit like an itch has finally been scratched?
Oh yes, I've been scratching that itch for a long time, and it feels. I will describe it this way. After all of these years of working and researching and dreaming and hoping to make the film, to tell the story, the first day of filming, that morning, that breakfast was the best tasting breakfast I've ever had in my life.
So what was behind the delay, and what do you think made now the kind of right time to tell this story?
Good question. Well, I think that it was a combination of things, a combination of having to tell it properly, which meant to find out the intrinsic details, the subtext, all of the nuances of why there were 3 players in the history books, but no story surrounding that. And so it just took time to actually crack that code, so to speak. And I'm not sure if along the way anybody had said, "Oh gosh, there's something there." I've always been a fan of telling stories or hearing stories that I'm unaware of. I think cinema and film fans alike around the world love going to a movie to be entertained and to forget about life for a couple of hours. But we especially love it when we can walk out of the theater or after watching a movie at home, wherever you watch your film, and say, "Gosh, okay, that was entertaining, but more importantly, I didn't know that actually happened." And so was very engaging for me. And the other reason I think it took so long is that there's just simply culturally speaking, I think there's just a time for everything. I think now with the planets aligned, and it was. I think the world is potentially more ready to take this story in and embrace it now than they might have been 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Talking of sort of delays, I couldn't believe it took that long to get Nat, Sweetwater, Clifton inducted into the Hall of Fame. 2014. It's a long time.
Wow, Stefan, you're the first one to mention that. It took a long time. I came in contact with the Sweetwater's family in 2000. Gosh, I'm going to say 2006, maybe 2005, 2007, somewhere in there. And we worked in concert together for years. And the Hall of Fame was very helpful to get all the signatures we needed to. So that took a village. It was a group effort, including the NBA, and to make that happen. Yeah, that was a really emotional day, man.
I bet. I mean, this is going to sound like a bit of a weird question, but when you were casting the role of Sweetwater, your lead, did you have to check the actor's hands?
That's a great question. And believe it or not, that was one of the 2 or 3 most important aspects to casting that role. And in Everett Osborne's audition that he sent us, because we got hundreds and hundreds of submissions, he did his homework. He actually did this in his audition, and he took a ball and showed us that he could do that. He did his homework. He also, in his audition, showed us not only his physical ability, but aside from his gifted talents as an actor, in the audition, he dribbled the ball and he moved the way that Clifton might have moved back then. It was brilliant, and he was a pleasure to work with in every way. He's an extremely wonderfully spiritual individual, and that made my job so much easier because all I had to do is say action.
Yeah, I literally just spoke to him, and I completely agree. It's kind of infectious, his energy, I found. But I mean, how important was it for that role to have that authenticity? I mean, look, the magic of the movies means that you could probably turn me into a basketball player if you really wanted to, because such is the kind of quality of editing and stuff like that. But how important is it for you because there's those nuances in the way people move and the way people play the sport, just to allow you the freedom to be able to say action and know that he's going to kind of be able to capture the physicality of the role at hand?
When I was a kid growing up in New York City, I played what they call street ball basketball. So I played in parks and whatnot. And I was always a fan growing up of players in the NBA that historically had done something new, whether it was Pete Maravich, Bob Cousy, and those are white guys, or whether it was Elgin Baylor or Connie Hawkins, who took it to another level, Dr. J, et cetera. That was the era that I grew up with. And I was always watching the game to see and I, even as a player, I would go to the court and we would challenge each other on the court. We'd say, okay, can you do this? And so when Everett brought his game to the set, all I had to do is, it gave me the opportunity to also be creative and kind of recreate that childhood fantasy of like, hey, Everett, I like what you just did, but what if you took a hook shot from the foul line, let's say? You want to try it? And of course, take one, there it is. Perfect. It was that kind of chemistry.
Yeah. So you're part director, part coach.
Oh, that's great, man. I love that.
But I mean, not many people can claim to be a writer, producer, director, composer. I mean, I was wondering if you meet someone at a party and they say, "Hey, Martin, what do you do?" How do you kind of introduce yourself?
It's really a horrible challenge. I've never been asked that. That's really brilliant, Stefan. I've never been asked that. And typically my answer is that I jump out of bed to do all the things that I love to do. And I've dedicated myself to try to learn to do those things as best as possible to my ability. I love making music. I love making films. I love creating is probably the best way to encompass it. If somebody at a party from now on, actually, after this interview, I probably will answer, I'm a creator, but then they may really take that theologically the wrong way. So I don't want to get thrown out of the party or but all kidding aside, I nurture my kids and others to do the same. You can be creative in business. You can be creative as an artist. As long as you put creativity into your life, I do believe that ultimately brings a sense of inner peace, and it might even be fountain of youth.
So just very, I don't think I've only got time for one more. So my final question is, I mean, I'm just wondering, with the kind of music, with your kind of musical background, do you think you bring a certain musicality to your narrative work?
Great question. I do. My dad was a conductor, and I grew up playing violin in his orchestra, and I really learned about listening, and I learned about how to collaborate within a rhythm, and that every piece has a truth to it, a true rhythm to it. Life is like that. You wake up in the morning, sometimes you think, I think it feels like 7:30, and you look at the clock, it's 7:30. I call that the rhythm of the planet, living within the rhythm of the planet. I love combining the art forms rhythmically. That's what I follow when I do a scene. I make sure that everybody's in a specific tempo so we can capture truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for speaking to me today, Martin. Much appreciated. Best of luck with the release of the movie.
The feeling is mutual, Stefan. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!